Welcome to Conversations with Sarah. I'm Sarah Reddan, creator of the SRT Self-Care Club. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to be notified of new episodes. Today, I'm joined by Jodie, a creative wellness practitioner who's going to share with us all. Hi, Jodie. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
That's my pleasure. So you're a wellness practitioner and you're going to talk to us. We're just going to have a conversation really about what you do, your own personal journey, and see where it goes. So a great place to start would be to introduce yourself, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so my name's Jodie Lee-Liggett, and yeah, I'm a creative wellness practitioner, and yeah, I just wanted to, I took up your invitation to be here because a phase that I'm at the moment is really trying to go to the next phase of getting my messages out there and things that I've learned and helped me on my journey, and use my voice and share with others, because yeah, I mean, it's sort of a different take on a lot of the stuff that I've learned, and sort of merging it all together. And yeah, I just feel like it could really help other people to hear some of this stuff. So
yeah, and that's what we were talking about just before we came in and recorded, about sort of using our own experience and our own learnings and helping people on their own kind of journey. So I agree with you. It's so valuable to sort of be out there and talking about what it is we can offer, and how it's helped us personally. So you call yourself a HICAT practitioner. So what is that?
Yeah, so I'm actually still studying with them at the moment. So it stands for Holistic Integrated Creative Arts Therapy. And it's kind of like I was just saying, it's like bringing together all these different things that I've been working on over the years. And it's like, actually there's this community of people that are on the same vibe and using this stuff, and it's actually like industry recognized as a qualification. And so it's sort of bringing in the spiritual aspect of things, sort of quantum physics, the all the different types of creative arts, like so drawing, painting, movement, I think sort of like performing arts, dance, and using it in a way that's sort of tapping into your own intuition and finding your answers yourself for whatever it is that's going on for you that's not working in your life. So yeah, I just really love it. And actually it's funny because so years ago, when I was 19 years old, I had like a psychotic mental breakdown, and I was in a mental ward for about 3 months, I think it was. And during that time, I had we had different people that come into the wards and did things, and we had like occupational therapists come in, and I would do different things. And it was really hard actually at the time, because the thing with it is your mind's sort of all over the place. So it was really sort of really forcing myself to focus and do these things and do these activities that beforehand I was very natural and loved doing these things. It felt like such an effort and I had to really push myself to do these things. And sort of as I was coming out of that and my recovery and everything, back then I thought, well, I'd love to do something like that. And this is like I don't know, over 20 years later, that it's kind of come full circle, and I found this and I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I wanted to do. So yeah,
it's funny, isn't it, how I can resonate with parts of that. There's bits of my journey that I've thought, oh, I wish this therapy existed. I'd love to get involved with this, and it kind of it either never existed at that point, or I didn't know how to find it, where to find it, because we didn't always have Google and all the access to everything that we do now. And there is like stuff that I've always thought would be really helpful that I'm just now discovering exists. It's like, oh, somebody else has actually thought of this, and it is a therapy and it does exist. So it's really interesting that we go through our own healing experiences and find these different things that are useful to us that we would then want to share out with other people. So you're quite artistic, I think, from looking
I
at
would
your social
say
media.
more than that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something that, like, I've had so much doubt in myself in my life, and I think that's the one thing that has always been a constant, is like my creativity. It's like,
Yeah.
it's in my, I don't know, very, my cells, and yeah, it's just there. But saying that, what you was just saying, the funny thing was, with this course that I'm doing now, it was like, literally, I wasn't actually looking for it, but it was through the internet, it just sort of showed up at exactly the right time, and I was just like, so it all just kind of fitted and fell into place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny
So
how that happens.
do you use your art through the HICAT training? Is that
Yeah,
something you do part of that?
Yeah, so what it is that sort of things I've already been doing, and sort of being guided myself just to do these sort of practices, and then it's like, in this course I'm doing, it's like, even one of the actual things that I discovered that came to me last year was about using handprints, and using, sort of channeling the energy through your hands and putting it into a picture, and then the
wow.
energy radiating off of the picture.
Yeah.
And then this is one of the tasks that's in the course, something very similar, and it was one of my bits of homework that I had to do, and I'm like, whoa. So
I reacted to that because through lockdown I started painting energy paintings. I can't paint, I'm not artistic, I would not describe myself as someone is creative. But my husband he is an artist. He's very creative in that way. My creativity is in a different place. But I really felt pulled to do these things, and you can't see, but I am looking at a painting that I did that is my hands, that I channeled energy healing into, that has like all the fun glitters and things, and I only recently hung it in my space, and it's like, oh, it's a thing. Other people do it.
I'm
It's
getting
so interesting.
Yeah, so this is what it's about. It's like you say, I mean, I am creative in the way that I've never really been that into, doing exact, like, impressionist kind of, like, exactly as it is. To me, it's about expression, and bringing something through, and you kind of learn from what, like, you don't actually know what you're exactly going to do, and it's like, when you look back at it afterwards, you learn something about yourself from it. So sort of going with the flow. So I love that. That's amazing.
I think there's something so powerful in that, isn't there? Because I would not describe myself as someone creative in that way. Like, my creative genius lays somewhere else. I wouldn't describe myself as someone artistic. However, I created art. I have it hung on my wall, and it is personal to me. So it really shows that even if you've got this idea about what you can do or can't do, if you can just go with that flow that you've said, and allow yourself space to be playful with it, you can try things.
That's exactly what this is about, and what my it's like a tool. So I went from doing murals and doing commission pieces of art for people, which was amazing at the time, and it was that step for me that took me into sort of a bit of like empowerment. Like, a job out there didn't exist around me. I couldn't find anything that suited me, so it was kind of like following my intuition there, of like, well, make your own job up. And that was really amazing for a time. But then I've gone into this, so after that, circumstances changed, and I couldn't carry on with that, and I went really a lot more deeper into the coaching and the spiritual side of things, and that's been amazing as well. But then it's like, with the art, it kind of, I've got to this stage now where I want to facilitate people, like exactly what you're talking about, where it's something that people, it's like the involvement of you, like, not just giving someone that piece of art. Like, first of all, I did a hand print with somebody, they did the hand, and I then channeled the energy, and they loved it, and I was like, oh my god, you know, the colors and everything, and they really connected with it. But now it's like I want to help people where they're involved in actually doing it themselves, and it's a process of tapping into, like I was saying, like so I've done a lot of, I'm going off on a little tandent
No,
here,
I'll follow, it's fine, I love it.
So I've you know, I've done, there's a lot of this stuff in the coaching world with, you know, like the unconscious and conscious, like sort of being in conflict with each other, and the programming that's in the unconscious from like before the age of 7, and traumas and things that you've picked up along your life, and it's all there in the background. And we've got to tap into, you know, we can look out there and logically learn all this stuff, but actually it's within ourselves that the answers lie, and it's asking the right questions, giving the right instructions, and it's and I find with creativity it's a way of tapping into the unconscious and sort of bringing it together and sort of bringing it out into the physical world. So it's sort of a circle of connecting all that, you know, it's the mind, the physical, the spirit, or whatever, you know, different names people call it, and you know, really sort of developing that kind of belief in yourself and your own sort of you know best, you've got it there, you've just got to uncover it, kind of thing.
It's completely what I believe. We've all got inner knowing, we've all got this inner voice that speaks to us our greatest good. We just maybe have stopped listening to it or disconnected from it because of the things that we've experienced in life that have knocked our confidence in ourselves, or that, like you said, the messaging that we receive, we kind of move far away from this innate knowing, this our inner truth, and it is really just about finding our way back to it and being able to, as you see, if you're watching, you'll see I always, whenever I talk about this, I put my hand on my chest, like, because that for me is me connecting in, and it is that grounding back into who you are. And that can be so hard to do when you have spent most of your life being disconnected from it. So how are you learning, because you've said about the art, how else are you learning to help people with that connection?
Do you know, I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. So, you know, as I go along, you know, I've done a lot of research and sort of things about business and all that, but I've still got, you know, I'm still developing that side of things. But at the moment, really, I think the thing that I do is I just love being an inspiration and sharing things, you know, my own insights and things, and the things that I love doing, and just sort of enjoying life. And I really just, I love to inspire people that, you know, if things, you know, if you're doing things that you don't like and you don't enjoy, well, you know, showing them that it is possible, you know, to do the things that you love and make a life around that. So yeah, but God, I've got so many points. I was getting all these ideas when you were talking. So something that I'm really finding at the moment is helping me a lot. You know, when I was talking about the dancing and the movement, but really sort of embodying myself, really, because I've spent so going back to you know, when it all sort of came to a climax when I was younger, it was this real disconnect, and I really felt it. Like I felt like it was this sensation like my head had been cut off. I remember being in my room in the hospital and really feeling like my throat had been slit as a sensation. And now I understand it as it was this real disconnect. It's like what do you call it, dissociation. So like my consciousness had kind of like left, and it's like all this time it's like my head's been somewhere else, and sort of it's been really difficult because it's leaving my body just really lethargic. And you know, like when you just want to sleep in all day, and you know, the normal little tasks, you know, everyday tasks, like feel like such effort and such hard work. So for me now, I've really been embracing movement, and I found cycling. So it's still connected in with this stuff, but it's it was just a way of like, I have all these insights and amazing things come to me when I'm riding my bike, and it's actually I realized that when you're doing exercise and you're moving your body and you're bringing that energy into yourself and then it's flowing out. So again, it's that kind of that flow, you know, of coming in, giving and receiving, but it's sort of opening up the cells in your body. And it's like a way of, your body stores, you know, the emotions and stuff that you haven't processed, or you haven't sort of, you know, you haven't let go of. So it's a way of actually sort of accessing that information that's held. Don't know if I'm going a bit deep here.
No.
I find it really fascinating.
I really feel that, like, people that are listening, that this resonates with, will continue to listen. People that are interested will continue to listen. People that this just doesn't resonate with yet will stop listening, and that's okay, because we'll be here and they can come back when they're ready. I completely agree with you that I love to dance. Dancing is my therapy. I love to move my body. And I've been doing a lot of kind of energy work, meditation stuff with pop songs in the charts.
Amazing.
But there's some really powerful, like, anthems at the moment, like feminine energies type music that just some of it's old music I've only just discovered because I'm on TikTok and they're like trending at the moment. Stuff that, and it's just, there's something so powerful when you can connect in with that flow, that energy, that state, that moment of just being in the pleasure of what you're doing. So cycling your bike, or for me, dancing, it's like, it just brings up so much stuff. And like, I'm noticing, like, I've got some stuff that needs releasing at the moment, and as I'm dancing and just singing like really loudly and feeling the music, and I listen to the songs over and over, it becomes like, you can really feel that emotion in your body, or I feel that emotion in my body. And like I can be crying, and it's not in a like, oh, like my life's a mess kind of thing. It is just, there's this, I'm so deeply connected in with that music, with that song in that moment, that little part of me that needed that healing in that moment just comes up and releases. And it's like, if you don't do that and that's not your thing, it can sound a bit like, oh, okay, why would I want to dance and cry? But it's just so powerful. So like, for you, riding your bike allows you that space. Sorry.
Yeah, I love dancing as well. But I think with the cycling, it's because I've really struggled with movement. Like, I've really, like I say, been very lethargic in the past. But it was that real kind of making that decision, like, I'm going to get out and do something and move my body, and actually realizing that there's so much more to it. Like, I think when, you know, people sort of go on these, you know, they want to get fit and they want to look great and all this, but it's like, I'm realizing, like, there's so much more to it, like actual, like the holistic approach, that's what it's all about, you know. So you've got to sort of nourish and get that energy flowing through all the different aspects of your being. And
I completely agree. I mean, this is all my thing. I completely agree with everything you're saying, and it's all the stuff that I've talked about. I'm currently writing a book, and actually part of the bit that I've been writing this week is about movement and the power of movement. And
we're very in tune, aren't we?
Ways to think about movement, because the conditioning, we're conditioned to think about things through the lens of what society tells us we should be doing, and sometimes that can prohibit us from doing what we want to do, just for joy, just for fun, just for nourishment. I love the word nourishment, because that really that's everything we do is about nourishing ourselves. If we're really in tune with our needs and our own voice and our self-care, and I know you talk about being connected to ourselves.
So that was actually one of the things, wasn't it, that I was going to talk about. So that's so we kind of have been talking about it, but that inner and outer connection, I feel like that's kind of like a really good place to start. You know, if you're sort of, you know, you sort of, right, I want to start developing myself, I want a better life, and, you know, I want to improve things. And I think that's the first place So, you know, people talk about connecting with nature and things, so that's sort of like an outer connection, and you're you know, again, it's an energetic thing. You don't have to understand that stuff, but I love that I've kind of got the science and the understanding of actually it's a real thing, even though I've always kind of, that's what I love about the HICAT, even though I've always kind of known and felt this stuff, but it's like I'm learning the science, the real science behind it now. It's actually real. So that's the outer connection, and with people as well. So, you know, if we are in isolation, you know, we've experienced collectively over the last couple of years, that's been really difficult. That's why, you know, we get really feeling horrible, and because it's a natural thing that we need is that connection. So it's the outer connection, and that's what I've been really putting a lot of effort into as well, is that connection with people, and, you know, being around like-minded people, and sort of putting myself out there, because I've had a lot of social anxiety as well in the past. That's been a massive thing for me. And so so nourishing both of those, the inner connection with yourself and the outer connection to the world, to the earth, to people. And then the next thing as well, so once you get that connection going, it's that thing of sort of claiming who you are and letting go of what's not you. But I found a good way of doing this for me is with asking questions that are going to get you that are going to help you, because I think for a long time when I was younger, I had a question that I always used to have there in the background, like, what's wrong with me? So if you keep asking that question, your mind's going to filter, and it's going to keep giving you all these things that are wrong with you, and that's what your experience is going to be. So if you turn that around and, you know, you start kind of asking, like, how can I improve this, or what can I do to, you know, this thing that you want, how can I get there? And then your brain will start filtering for those things, and where you've got that inner connection, you're not logically looking for the answers, but you're just sort of letting them arise, and then getting them. A really amazing thing that I use all the time now is this sort of asking questions or giving intentions is before I go to sleep, because when you're in that state, you're tapping into, so you're going into your unconscious when you're sleeping, but you're also tapping into beyond that. And that's where, if you give that instruction, it's going to go looking for that. And then in the morning, it's really amazing how suddenly you just get these epiphanies come to you, and you're like, oh wow, it actually works. You know, I find that such a magical tool.
It's I've talked before about how 4 o'clock is my kind of inspiration time, quite often waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning with ideas or inspirations. Like, I tend now not to kind of really worry about things if I've got a problem that I need to solve. I don't like, obviously I at times worry about some stuff. I'm not like some superhuman, but if there's just like a thing that I'm like, oh, I need to work out how to solve this thing for work, or how I'm going to do this, or how I'm going to create that, I tend not to spend time thinking about it and just let it be, because at some level my brain is working through it anyway. And I really very, very much trust now that if I sleep on it and just let it be, not spend time pushing for an answer, just allow it to come up. 9 times out of 10, I wake up in the morning, generally about 4 o'clock, with the idea, with the answer, with the solution, with a and sometimes stuff that I'm not sure I would have actually thought about had I sat and written a list, or really kind of got myself caught up in the problem of it. Like I say, something really powerful when you allow yourself space for solutions, when you allow yourself to think what if, or like just be explorative of possibility in a other
just
way,
sort of
in an energetic kind of trusting that inner voice, isn't it? Trusting that knowing that it will tell you the answer.
So do you know what, you're just making me think, I did actually do some little bits of art to show. And to start with, because I really feel like I've just chilled about having this chat today now, but to start with, where I was like, oh my god, like I need to have something, what am I going to take? And I was thinking of writing a poem, but as I sat down to write it, it was like trying to engage logically in like putting this thing together. I was like, oh, right, there, forget about that. And so what I did, and this is all about what I talk about with the art, is so sort of where I was coming from, I was tapping into like my past experiences and stuff, and I literally just started writing down random words. So it's kind of like sort of like brainstorming, but just not at all worrying, like any word you want to, any word that comes, just put it down. And then I just sort of, I'll show you, I just created this
That's beautiful.
so
Like it's I mean it's
it's
not
just
everyone will see, because some people will be able to will only be listening, but it's like the word in the middle is fear, and I say it's beautiful because you can just see the so there's fear. If it's like, you okay with me reading out some of the words?
fine.
What comes out? So fear, shame, lost, nothing, hidden, forgotten, suffocated, separate. There's lots of words, but it's, whilst they're words that this is me as an observer. So whilst they're words that you would ordinarily associate as negative words, my initial response was, that's beautiful. There was something beautiful in the way that it was.
Because
So
it was
how
like
was
a
it for
free expression. It was just it was kind of like a relief, you know, when I was just saying I was thinking of writing a poem, which I do like, but the subject of what it was, I thought, I'm trying to manipulate it too much. I thought, just let it out and just let it be whatever it is, and that's what came out. And it's
what was
really,
the process of that for you? How was that, like, how do you experience that?
So like I say, it's kind of just like oh, someone's heard me, you know, I've been able to say this, I've been able to get it out, sort of like that opening up and sort of being honest and just being real kind of thing. But it's as well, it's like I'm not living there anymore, but it's sort of a memory and sort of what it's given me. And then I also did the opposite one. So what I did was I was like, okay, so now let's tap into that feeling of like where I'm going and where I am now and all that. So I did another one, and I wasn't with that as well, I wasn't too sure what the word in the middle was going to be, but it ended up being self in a heart. And then afterwards it was like, I was like, oh, it's like self-love, but I didn't plan it, that's just what it come out was as.
And I'm going to share, like, I'm having different emotional reactions, which I think is the best thing about art. Like that. So the first one, there was a beauty in it. It was it felt powerful. I also felt that kind of emotion come up. Like, if you're watching, you'll see that I had tears coming up in my eyes. It felt raw. It felt that, and I guess that's the beauty of the vulnerability of it. And the second one that you've shared is it feels peaceful. To me, it feels peaceful. The colors in it are aesthetically pleasing. It's interesting that I felt more strongly towards the first one, the beauty of that, the vulnerability of it. So the second one it's a pretty piece of art, and it's very it's aesthetically pleasing, it's very soothing, it feels really peaceful. So I'd be interested, I'd love to hear, if people are watching, how they're experiencing that art, because I think that's one of the beautiful things of art, isn't it? And that's something I guess that I'm only discovering that I see over these last few years, because as I said at the beginning, I'm not somebody that considers myself creative in that way, but I clearly have quite strong responses too. So it'd be really interesting to hear how other people are experiencing the art, because isn't that what art's about?
Well, this is it. So me creating it, it's, you know, it's a thing for me, but also anyone who looks at it, it's all about your own interpretation as well. You know, I could go on to talking about with tarot cards and all that as well. See, I've learnt about those, that it's all symbolic. That's the point I wanted to say earlier, actually, because our unconscious mind is actually symbolic. So this is why pictures and stories and images speak to us so much, because you know, they're universal, you know, anywhere, you know, you look at a picture and it's got its own language, and that goes into the unconscious. But it's all about, you know, what you see in it is for you. It's not for me to tell you about those. I can tell you my experience of them, but how you've just interpreted them yourself, that's telling you something about yourself.
It tells you everything you need to know about me. So maybe I shouldn't be quite so open and like.
No, it's good. I think maybe that's that thing of being vulnerable, isn't it? And you know, that if that's what I'm trying to be more like. You know, like I was saying, like hidden and scared and shame. It's like actually, by letting this stuff out and sharing it, it invites other people to be able to feel safe to do that, and you know that it's okay, we can share this stuff. And
I think there's something so powerful in being able to kind of have both the duality. So we all have moments of feeling that fear, that shame, the you know, the other words that you listed, but even with all that, I truly believe we can love ourselves and we can accept ourselves and be able to hold both positions and you know, like choose where we move towards, but not have to dismiss that these other things exist in who we are, and those things existing just are. They don't make us a broken human being, they just are.
And
but
it's just information. It's information, isn't it? And it's, you know, if you feel you know, all those kind of emotions in a certain situation, well, you'd be kind of crazy to be all like, oh, everything's brilliant, you know, because you know, you want to do something to get out of that situation. If it's causing you harm, then you know, it's right to feel that way, isn't it? So
and is this the kind of artwork that you create with clients now? Is this, or will be creating with clients, is this the sort of work that you'll be doing?
So facilitating you know, to do that kind of thing for themselves. I am actually working on an adult sort of, it's like a colouring book, but it is so much more than that. Like you could just look at it, it's a colouring book, but it's all about, you know, the processes and the tools in it. And actually before I was getting ready to have we got time just quickly to talk about time?
I've lost track of time. I've no idea where we're at with things. So yes, but we'll probably make this the last bit because we probably are at time.
So I was, you know, I was saying like my old way would have been like, oh my god, terrifying, I've got to go and talk. But I was like, no, it's cool, it's just a chat, you know. I'm getting quite good at chatting now. But I had like half an hour, and rather than like, you know, plan out, I'm going to talk about this. I took one of my drawings that I think is going to go into my book now, and I just started colouring it in. And again, it's the whole thing of it's you being active and playing a part in the actual creation of the thing. And again, I was just letting all words come to me, and then I was just kind of, so I'll just show you this one. So this one was just saying thank you, and then it's just I was just letting all the little things come to my head that actually are big things, you know, to be thankful for. And it's the focus of, like I say, it's bringing it all together. So it's the focus of when you're colouring in, you don't have to think about it, I'm just colouring in, it's a nice pink colour there, but then these words just come to you. So it's like it's enhancing and amplifying, because you're bringing it into, you know, the thought, then the feeling, and then the physical. So it's like a manifestation process as well, which I haven't gone into very much, but that's also like, it's amazing to actually learn that this can be a manifestation process. It's really powerful when there's science behind it. It's like, I think in the past people have thought that I'm really, you know, like ooh, or whatever you call it, but actually no, there's realness to this, and I just love that. And I
mean, we love a bit of woo, but and I think the really important thing to recognize now with the woo is that science is starting to prove it all. Science is starting to prove so I know I've talked before about my relationship with woo, so I won't go into it again. I consider myself a woo person. Like I'm on my own spiritual deepening journey. So yeah, we love all of that here. But the fact that science is catching up now. Science
Yeah,
is catching up. I think it really helps people with that shift
yeah,
where they're
definitely.
like, before some of it felt like a little bit too out there. And
Yeah,
now people can go, people, me, me on my journey, I've needed that, can go, oh, yeah, but this actually is a thing. Like there's some science that tells us that this is real. And then it just really helps open up the mind, doesn't it, to this,
yeah,
the possibility of the other stuff. Because, and once you start experimenting and playing with it and experiencing it, whether it's nonsense or not, the experience that you have and the um things that come into fruition, it starts to make you be like, oh, okay, so why not? Why
yeah.
not be open to this? Because the more open I
Just
am, the more I'm
give it a
seeing
go.
good things come
Exactly,
my way. Yeah. Oh, it's
exactly.
brilliant. um I'm not sure that we covered everything that you said that you particularly wanted to talk about, but I've
That's fine.
really enjoyed speaking with you. And
Yeah,
you can come back another time, another season, and talk about some of the other things when you're further on your journey and share where you've been and where you are then, if that's okay with you.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really
Is there
cool.
anything you want to leave people listening with today that we maybe haven't covered?
Do you know what I was thinking? There's this little quote which I really love, and I think this is what my message is and what I'm about. So it's from The Wizard of Oz. Do you know at the end where she says, "You always had the power, my dear. You just had to learn
Mm,
it for yourself." Oh, I
mm,
love that, and
yeah,
that's what it's about. That things are possible.
I love it.
So
And I completely agree with you. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with me today.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. To find out more about me and my guests, you can find some details in the show notes or find me on Facebook at SRTT Self-Care. I'd love to connect with you. I'll be back next Wednesday with a new guest. Until then, stay curious and be kind to yourself.